I'm Kanchan from Akulmet Technologies, and you are welcome to our series, Great Kings of India. And we have been discussing about the great king, Chandragupta Maurya, his administration, his army. Today we'll be discussing about economy at that particular point of time, position of women, social fabric of that era. And I've read somewhere that Kautilya has already laid down few rules for women, and one of the instances it is mentioned right to property to women. So I think it's great because anywhere, any country which follows gender equality, that country develop rapidly. So when we talk about right to property to women, so it is a great aspect because even today there are many communities where right to property doesn't exist for women. To discuss more about this aspect, we have Professor Meeta Joshi, who is an eminent historian, and she is also head of the department of one of the prestigious college, St. Anne's College for Women in Hyderabad. So without wasting any time, any moment, I would like to welcome Professor Meeta Joshi. Meeta ji, welcome to the show.
Namaskar, Kanchan. Thank you.
So we are discussing today about Chandragupta Maurya and economy and social fabric. So I'm eager to hear about that particular era and in terms of economy and social fabric.
If you see the overall Mauryan economy, they were, as I told you, they were very, very organized people because of the influence of Chanakya or Kautilya in Chandragupta Maurya's life. So all the principles of Arthashastra were followed. And because Chanakya knew that economy is the backbone of any empire, so it was very, very, meticulously planned. Now, when Megasthenes was in India and he observed all the activities of the court and the Mauryan administration, then in his book Indica, he has mentioned that apart from the four Varna system which existed, he wrote that there were seven types of castes. So he has put philosophers, farmers, soldiers, and herdsmen, artisans, magistrates, and counselors, apart from the fourfold Varna system. Now, because economy was very, very important, and that time it was an agrarian based economy because agriculture was the main occupation. So, there was a need to plan the agriculture in a very, very, you know, proper way. So, for agriculture, you need water. Canals were made by the Mauryan government for irrigation. And in one inscription which we found written by Rudradaman in the Junagadh inscription, in which it is mentioned that a dam was also built on the Sudarshan Lake.
Okay.
Channels, water channels were made so that the crop is good. The land was measured and the revenue was assessed accordingly. It was a very, very just system. If suppose by any natural calamity, drought, famine, you don't get a good crop, so those people were exempted from the taxes.
Okay.
And apart from this, the Brahmins, the children, and the handicapped people of the empire were exempted from any type of taxes.
Oh, that was great.
Evasion, yeah, evasion of taxes was supposed to be a very, very serious offense, and a strict action was taken upon the person who was not, paying the taxes properly. So, apart from taxes, the economy, as I told you, trade and commerce was very much in the period of Chandragupta Maurya, because we find evidences that even foreign trade existed. Indigo, cotton, medicinal
Mm.
substances,
Correct.
okay, they
Mm.
all were, silk that was exported.
Mm.
So a lot of revenue was generated because of that. And there were merchant guilds and associations as we have today.
Mm.
So in Mauryan administration, they had merchant guilds and associations. And there was a head of the guild. He was supposed to take care of the activities, the trade activities. A separate, they had a separate army. As I told you, the army consisted of one portion of army who were provided by the guilds. So they guarded the routes, the trade routes, because there were chances of robbery and dacoity. So those army, they guarded the trade routes. So economy was, very well planned in Mauryan administration. Not only in Chandragupta Maurya's time, but if you see Bindusar's or Ashoka, after Ashoka, the successors of Mauryas were weak, so they could not take the Mauryan legacy forward. But in Chandragupta Maurya's time, the economy was very strong. Agriculture, trade and commerce, the export import of things which happened through land and through sea also. So that improved the economy to a very high extent. And if you if you want to know about the social aspect and the position of women, so women were respected in the modern society. And like we have this bridal gift, so istri dhan they used to say, so that istri dhan remained with the woman. And even if suppose there is a widow, but all rights were given to them, they were respected in the society, though polygamy existed in the Mauryan Empire. Polygamy means a person, a man marrying one or more women. So that existed in the Mauryan Empire, but still the women enjoyed a good position in the society. And this we come to know by the way Chandragupta Maurya's mother, uh, Chandragupta Maurya's father was the head of the Maurya clan, and because he was killed, so the mother ran away and came to Patliputra. So there are mentions of his mother, in the history. That, but another account says that he was an orphan, and he was there are herd people who used to, keep cows.
Right.
They adopted him. So
Right.
different theories. So women enjoyed a very good position in the society. And as I told you, Istri Dhan, it was for the security of the woman. That was always with the woman. It was never, taken by force, or it was woman's wish how to use that Istri Dhan for herself. So
Yes.
that way the society was very good, and because the administration was very sound, so each and every activity which happened in the reign of empire of Chandragupta Maurya was monitored. So the people were also, because as I told you, in Nanda Empire, in Nanda dynasty time, it was a brutal rule and very high taxes were there. So here Chandragupta Maurya kept this in mind, that if he wants to rule for a longer period of time, then he has to give some relief in taxes to the people. And not only taxes, justice, there was department for justice separately.
Right.
And that people had access to the king. If any grievance they had, they were free to talk or to approach the king. So all these things together made Chandragupta Maurya's empire very good. Whether you talk about economy, whether you talk about social conditions, political conditions, status of women, we can definitely say that it was a very good period. And then after Ashoka came, so because of his Dhamma, the principle he applied, religious principle, so because of that and because of a spread of Buddhism, the society was a peaceful society. Like people were happy. And that's why every time we talk about ancient India, it is always mentioned that there was economic prosperity in the time of Chandragupta Maurya. So, how you get economic prosperity? Because your crops are good, number one, because you have a good trade in commerce, and because your revenue system, the taxes which you are implementing on your subjects, were just. There was nothing which by which people were suppressed, or people had this grievance that the ruler is not taking care of the subjects. Everything was very very meticulously planned, and a peaceful empire altogether.
So when you're talking
Administration.
about polygamy, I've read somewhere that a person who's married to a woman and woman give birth to a dead child, then that and he wants to remarry. So that person, that man has to wait for 10 years to really go for remarriage. And again, there is as mentioned that if women give birth to girls only, then again, there was a rule that man has to wait for 12 years to really think about the second marriage. So even polygamy is also not very easy at that point of time. So in case if you really want to have the second wife, so it,
One thing I want to tell you, Kanchan, if you see our Vedic age or post Vedic age, and if you see ancient India before the invasions,
right.
before Muslim invasions,
Mhm.
the society was a free society to an extent. Like if you see the Vedic age, you find mention of women who were very, very learned and well bred. They enjoyed a very, good status in the society. Equal rights were given to them. If a boy wants to learn, the girl child was given an equal chance. Same in Chandragupta Maurya's reign also. Only after the invasions, when the invasions started, after the invasions, this problem in the society concerned women, it increased. Why? Because they used to make women slaves,
Right.
and all ill behavior. They used to take women as slaves to their land. So that's why now, if you see, now I'm just shifting from the topic because this is very important. Because of the invaders, only Parda system started.
Right.
Before, there was no Parda system because it was a free society. There were no taboos for that matter. In the Vedic society, only after the Varna system, you can say, and this feudal system, uh, when the kings started giving lands to the Brahmins, all these problems started from there. Otherwise, there was when you have a good society where people are broad-minded. So, and Arthashastra mentions even about the rules of marriage.
Mhm.
If you are married to a particular woman, and suppose if you marry another woman, then you have to give equal rights to your first wife. You have to take care of her livelihood, finances, her food, her clothing. So all that was mentioned in the Arthashastra. So that way it was a very very organized society. And all now we are seeing that position of women is really vulnerable in our modern society. We are witnessing all types of bad incidents all over the country. So which is very, very sad. So if people had a little broad minds, and they had that respect for the other gender, then all these problems would not have crept in our system.
Right. Right. So it is so lovely to talk to you, Professor Neeta Joshi, and we'll be discussing more about our great things of India in our next episode. For today, I'll take a leave. Bye bye. It was so lovely to talk to you today. Bye.
Thank you, Kanchan.
Bye.